The January 6th committee may be considering another high-profile subpoena, this time for Ginny Thomas, a conservative activist and the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. She was in direct contact with members of former President Trump's inner circle and with others who were seeking to overturn the 2020 election results. CBS's Nicole Killian is on Capitol Hill.
It's very important for us to speak with her.
Vice Chair Liz Cheney warned the January 6th Select Committee could consider a subpoena against Ginny Thomas if the well-known conservative activist doesn't come forward.
I hope she will agree to do so voluntarily, but I'm sure we will contemplate a subpoena if she won't.
The committee sent a letter in June requesting her appearance after learning she exchanged messages with former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows and attorney John Eastman, who authored a memo about how to block certification of the 2020 election results.
Whether it involves the wife of a Supreme Court justice or anyone else, if they have information or a role in an effort to overturn an election, yes, they're not excluded from examination.
Friday, former Trump political advisor Steve Bannon was convicted on 2 counts of contempt of Congress for defying a committee subpoena and could face up to 2 years in jail.
But you can't ignore a congressional subpoena or you'll pay the price.
The panel says it has not decided on a criminal referral to the Justice Department against the former president, but urged it not to wait.
I sure as hell hope they have a criminal investigation at this point into Donald Trump.
An emboldened Trump lashed out in a pair of weekend rallies.
If I announced that I was not going to run for office, the persecution of Donald Trump would immediately stop.
The former president will be in Washington for a speech Tuesday. It will be his first time back since he left office in January 2021. But former Vice President Mike Pence may be looking to steal some of his thunder with his own speech here in town tonight. Nicole Killian, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
The January 6th committee is releasing new video revealing that former President Trump crossed out lines in a draft speech to condemn Capitol rioters. On the draft, a line that said those who broke the law, quote, belong in jail, was crossed out, and someone wrote by hand, quote, will pay. The video was released today. It includes partial interviews with Trump's daughter Ivanka and son-in-law Jared Kushner and others saying they believe Trump needed to make a statement on January 7th.
It looks like here that he crossed out that he was directing the Department of Justice to ensure all lawbreakers are prosecuted to the full extent of the law. We must send a clear message, not with mercy, but with justice. Legal consequences must be swift and firm. Do you know why he wanted that crossed out?
I don't know.
Another line that was crossed out, quote, I want it to be very clear you do not represent me, referring to the rioters who stormed the U.S. Capitol. Major flight delays and cancellations are expected in Germany due to Lufthansa strikes. German union Verdi called Lufthansa ground staff to stage an all-day nationwide warning strike. Verdi is demanding a 9.5% wage increase for Lufthansa ground staff with a minimum of $369 per month for 12 months. Lufthansa is offering automatic and free rebookings for their passengers, but warns that at the moment it takes longer to find an adequate rebooking solution during the peak travel season. The next round of negotiations will take place on August 3rd and 4th, 2022 in Frankfurt. Major airports in Frankfurt, Dusseldorf, Cologne, Hamburg, Munich, Berlin, and others will be affected by the work stoppage.
Here at home, we're tracking showers and storms across our area. Nothing severe right now, but some heavy rain could be coming down with some of these. Satellite radar loop for the last 6 hours. Not everyone is seeing again the heaviest bands of rain just yet, but they're moving in from the west, so stay on alert, especially if these slow-moving storms get to you and start causing some issues. We'll keep you posted on that. We are still under a slight risk, 2 out of 4 there for excessive rainfall later today. Temperatures in the 70s and 80s out there right now. 84 Manchester and Middlesboro, also Jacksboro, 82 in Pikeville, 79 in Moorhead this hour. And again, that's several degrees colder than this time yesterday, thanks to the cloud cover and rain that has been around throughout the day. So as we head into the nighttime hours, we're going to continue to see those temperatures slowly drop. The rain chance will hang around for a little while. You might even hear some rumbles of thunder, and you could still see a strong storm as we head deeper into the evening in the first part of the nighttime hours. More on that forecast coming up here in just a little bit. Steve?
All right, Brandon, thank you. Now to Ukraine, where a Russian missile attack on the city of Odessa over the weekend could threaten plans to resume grain shipments from the port. A disruption could have huge implications for the world's food supply. This comes as the brutality of the war there continues to take a toll, including on Americans who traveled to Ukraine to fight. CBS's Holly Williams has that part of the story.
Luke Luzishin, originally from New Jersey, and Brian Young, who came from California, were killed in action this past week in eastern Ukraine. American volunteers. They'd signed up to fight here with Ukrainian forces battling against Russia's invading army.
There is a good side and evil side, so they fight for good.
Colonel Ruslan was their commanding officer.
Oh, really?
Yes, I'm professional military.
He told us Luzishin was injured by Russian tank shelling, and as Young went to help, more fire killed them both.
Why did they volunteer to come to Ukraine?
I asked Brian once, and he replied, "Sir, if we Americans don't help you winning this war, the next step of Russia will be knocking to our doors."
We got the call from the U.S. State Department letting us know that Luke had passed.
At their home in Calabash, North Carolina, Luzishin's parents, Kathy and George, are struggling. Their 31-year-old son has left behind 2 young children of his own.
I tried to get him to come home many times. He said he couldn't leave his friends. And then it turns out that 3 of them died trying to save him. And that's very difficult.
That's even more difficult to learn that.
Why was he motivated to come to Ukraine?
It was, David versus Goliath. And, he was ready to stand up and fight for the little guy.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has called on foreign volunteers to join his country's struggle against Moscow's bloody invasion. And thousands have reportedly come here, including many Americans. But the State Department has warned US citizens against it. Colonel Ruslan told us Brian Young had experience in the American military and was a capable machine gunner.
He perfectly knew what he was doing, a good soldier.
Their remains are now waiting repatriation.
2 Americans have also been captured by Russian-backed separatists in Ukraine, and we understand they're still being held. For anyone thinking of coming here, this is a very dangerous conflict. Holly Williams, CBS News, Dnipro, Ukraine.
Organizers announced today that the United Kingdom will host next year's Eurovision Song Contest on behalf of Ukraine due to the ongoing conflict. Ukrainian rap folk band Kalush Orchestra won the contest in 2022, which, following tradition, would allow Ukraine to host the next event. But the European Broadcast Union, the organizers, said that a safety and security assessment has determined it will not be feasible for Ukraine to host the event due to the ongoing war in the country, which led to passing on the hosting responsibilities to the UK as the current runners-up. Coming up on First at 4, the Pope delivers a historic apology in Canada today for the Catholic Church's role in forcing Native children from their homes.
And some of these storms moving through the region right now could be a little bit of packing a punch a little bit later on. We'll track that for you and the rest of the week here in just a few minutes.